Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
Vital.
We're go flying.
Guidance.
Guidance, go.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
I feel the need for speed.
You've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Join us or die.
And welcome to Mark Groupie Outdoors, the podcast. I'm your loyal, faithful host, Mark Groupie, and we are entering the middle of June, and people have been applying for their deer tags and elk tags and everything else in California, getting drawn. Wondering what you guys are getting drawn for. I personally got the coveted D6 tag and maybe a coveted archery only tag. So those are the wonderful things I got planned for this year. But I do have a trip planned for Wyoming and Colorado and maybe Ohio and maybe New York. So we got a few good things in the work besides being stiffed by the wonderful state of California. And our tags here are just about to expire. We got about 2 more weeks of 10 more days of hunting, and our tags will turn to tag soup. So hopefully you guys are out there chasing pigs or whatever with your last moments that you got and are finding some luck. Love to see some pictures and hear your stories. If you want to know where to find us on all our different wonderful locations, obviously you've found us wherever you found us right now, but you can find us on our social media, Instagram at Mark Groupie, at the Community Show. You can find us on Facebook at Mark Groupie Outdoors and the Community Show, and you can find us on YouTube at the Community Show, and wherever fine gifts are sold. And so look us up any of those places, watch our videos, correspond with us, do whatever. We'd love to hear from you. It's more fun when you guys play along rather than me playing with myself. So
this is a family program, Mark.
This is a family program, okay. But anyways, today our guest, we have Don Troxell from Lodi Archery, and he's been around. We'll let him tell this story, but kind of new, kind of not new in the valley, but has been into archery quite a while, all his life, and has really upped the game here in the valley. Don, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mark.
Pleasure to have you. So how long have you been into archery yourself?
Oh, I've been into archery for about 35 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had the shop open for 5 years now.
Okay. Have you done most of your hunting here in California? Have you been all over the place? What's been your hunting experience?
Yeah, it's been mostly California. We did go to Africa this year and Texas. Did all that in 2018. So pretty excited. 2019 coming up. Plan on hitting Wyoming with you this year if you get lucky. And of course, I got the coveted AO tag for the state here, but I don't get much time to go here in the state. We're super busy.
Yeah, you're pretty maxed out at that time.
Yeah.
We're lucky we can steal away for our antelope hunt, but yeah, right when you'd like to be in the field, everyone else needs a piece of you, don't they?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So where's your store located for everybody?
We're on Highway 88, just before you get into Lockford. About 5 miles out of Lodi, about 10 miles out of Stockton.
Yeah, so for those of you, in case you don't know, most of you have passed it up, but on your way to Lodi Bowman up to their course, you're going to drive right by his store on your way up. It's going to be right there on your left on Brant Road, and check it out. And on your way up, get all your supplies and everything that you need. So you've been there for 5 years now?
Yeah, 5 years.
Uh-huh. And you've just recently picked up some new brands, is that correct?
Yeah, we just picked up, the end of last year, we picked up Bowtech and Matthews, just to go along with the other ones we have. So we have PSE, we have Hoyt, Elite, Prime. We have a lot of bows.
Mm-hmm. Do you got a favorite yourself?
They all have their own things, but I generally tend to shoot a Hoyt. They just fit me really well, but everybody shoots the bows different. They all shoot really good, but depending on the person, just different bows shoot better for them.
Mm-hmm. I won't ask you to name names, but are all the different companies different to deal with? Are they all pretty good, or some you don't harder to deal with, but you just got to tolerate it, or what's?
Most of them are pretty good. There's a few that they've had some growing pains and some changes, and whenever they go through that, we kind of feel it a little bit. But overall, most of the companies are pretty square with us, and so we could just return the favor and be square with them and all our customers.
Mm-hmm. What all, besides bows and arrows, what are all the different things that you can pick up there in Lodi Archery?
Oh, we have just about everything from 3D targets to broadheads to arrows to quivers, any of the accessories you need. We do have a full service shop, so if you need your bow tuned, it'll be tuned well. If you need it restrung, whatever. We also have a 20-yard indoor range, so you'll be able to test them out there and shoot your own bow.
Mm-hmm. When you mentioned tuning the bow, and that's one thing I experienced that you do very well, and had the patience to work with me and tell I was shooting bullet holes through the paper. What are you get the bow from the manufacturer? What are can you list the steps that you go through to get a customer's bow?
Yeah, well, most of the time everything's pretty straightforward. They come pretty good from the factory, but certain bows we can tune without doing anything but what's there on the bow. Other ones we have to kind of tear apart and move things around to get them to shoot well. But we usually don't have any problem getting any of them to shoot very, very well.
Uh-huh. Well, say someone brings you a bow that you know nothing about, and maybe it's been through the ringer and this or that, because I've seen a few different things come through to you. What are the things that you check and measure?
Well, generally the first thing we do is scrap everything that they have set up and just start from scratch. Get the bow in time, everything squared on it, get the rest set properly. And then start the tuning process, because if we don't do that, it's just a battle. Uh-huh. It's a lot easier usually to start from scratch and then get the bow shooting well. And then we also have to kind of look at the shooter sometimes to see if they've got any bad habits that maybe we can help correct.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, no, you do very well. But sometimes most guys weren't ever taught how to shoot. We were, 30 years ago, we were just kind of handed a bow and wished good luck, and that was about it. Now we know quite a bit more of proper way to hold the bow. So if we can kind of pass that along to them, we try to do that, because they shoot a lot better, and then it makes our job a lot easier as well. Not trying to, we can just tune the bow instead of tuning the shooter.
Mm-hmm. So you'll make sure that the timing on the cams is correct. To make sure you do the laser down the arrow across the string to make sure everything's all lined up and pointing the right direction.
Oh yeah, we have lots of lasers and levels and bells and whistles around there to do everything. Second axis, third axis on your side, everything. We have jigs for just about anything, and usually backups for everything. So if something does go down, we aren't down anything. Just got to switch a piece of equipment out and get the other one repaired and have the backup again.
Yeah. As far as shooting technique, if there's 2 or 3 things that people do wrong, what are some glaring things that maybe the beginning archers listening right now? What are some of those things to go? Let me check myself here.
Yeah, mostly it's just your anchor and setup. That's some of the biggest things. They they don't know exactly how to do it. So we try to get them so they're repeating themselves a lot. And then the probably the second biggest thing is the hand position on the bow, because that's what makes the arrow fly out straight or want to take off. So
Right.
By kind of correcting those, you can help them with so they're not torquing the string, so that they're in the same position all the time, and it just makes for a better experience for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that a lot in beginning people. There's strings all over. At one time it's at the tip of their nose, and next time it's back by their cheek. Next time it's under their chin. I mean, it's unless you're anchoring in the same spot every time, that arrow is not going to go in the same place every time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we kind of find is they're a little bit intimidated. I don't know if it's from past experiences or what, but they don't like to ask a lot of questions. And that's what we're there for, because it's a lot easier if they do ask, because then we can give them the answers. I mean, we try not to be pushy about things around there. So, we let them do their own thing, but we'll mention things and see what kind of response we get back from them. If they seem, like they kind of didn't know and are willing to listen a little bit, we're more than happy to kind of give them a few pointers. And other guys have been doing it for 30 years, and that's just the way they're going to do it. And so we just leave them alone and do what we can for them.
Yeah. Now, one thing I saw you working on a bow, and I really didn't realize it, but they talk about waxing your strings and your cables and everything like that. But if you actually wax on those cables and get it up too high and it goes back into the wheels or the cams, that really gums up the works to where you pretty much got to take that thing apart to get that cleaned out.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that I don't know if they just weren't shown, but they just need to wax the bare string, not the serving. The serving's there to protect the string already, so there's really no need for it. And on some of it, you can get a little bit on there. It's not a big deal, but you really have to watch it, because it'll gum up their cams. The bow won't shoot well. It'll start getting a buildup in there. It can derail the strings. There's a lot of negativity to it. So they are much better off if they have any questions. Like I said, all they have to do is ask us. We're more than happy to let them know little things like that, because for one, it's going to make it a safer, more enjoyable experience for them, and in the long run, save them money, because they're not going to have to pay me to tear their bow apart and fix all that stuff.
Yeah. How many lanes do you have there? How many people can shoot at one time?
We have 8 lanes at 20 yards. We do hold in the wintertime. Usually we have some type of leagues going. Probably going to start extending that into some of the summer a little bit as well. And we hold the state indoor there, usually in January. We'll have that. We'll probably have to expand that out to a couple weekends, because it's getting too full. But yeah, that's good. It's a good shoot.
And who holds down the fort there? So it's you and your wife. I've seen your daughter there. She's working on stuff at times. Nice young man named Isaiah. He's there. He's been up here actually at the ranch hunting. He's made a great shot. Made a great 40-yard shot on a boar and center punched it. And do you have it? Is there anyone else? Is that who man? I've seen you have different people back there with Lodi Archery apparel on.
Yeah, that's our main people that are in there. But on the weekends, or if guys are off, we have some staff shooters that come in that have been doing it for a long time too. So they help with quite a few things. Either adjusting a bow for somebody for size, measuring them for us, cutting arrows, whatever kind of needs to be done. Everybody just kind of helps pitch in on those busy days. But normally Isaiah and I do most of the actual bow work, and my daughter takes care of most of all the arrow building. My wife takes care of making sure I keep the inventory in where it's supposed to be and not just laying around. We try to work together the best we can. And there's always changes and there's always upgrades. We're in the process of setting up a lot of new things. So in the next year or so, we should see some expansion and some just better ways to do things.
Uh-huh. And so you're obviously your busiest time of year is about to get here pretty quick as our archery and on the coast opens up here and shoot in just a month. And you'll stay pretty slammed until when?
We'll be busy from pretty much now till the end of August, and then September it'll kind of slow down, but it's kind of hit and miss. September, that's when we'll get a lot of guys that are getting ready to go out of state will start coming in and gearing all their stuff up. They tend to do that in September for whatever reason, September, October, and they're good for the November, December, early January stuff. So,
trying to think of what I'm missing. Ryer, do you got any thoughts or questions for our guest?
I had a few written down. Yes.
Okay.
So when guys are coming in to kind of get their bow tuned up prior to the season, or I guess maybe thinking about it, what kind of things should they be looking for, and what kind of things are you doing to the bow to get it tuned up and ready for each season?
Well, there's just different things. It depends on the person coming in. So it's going to be a little different for, let's say, a guy that hunts here in California compared to maybe a guy that all he does is elk hunt, because we'll want to go over his gear a little bit. If we need to look at arrows, we may need to change arrows. One of the biggest things that we find is draw length. For whatever reason, no matter what size you are, they're handed a bow that's 29, 30 inches and say, yeah, this is perfect for you. And some of them it's really short, some of them it's really long. And then they struggle with consistency of being accurate. So that's usually the first thing we look at is their draw length and talk to them about that, because once we get that corrected, then we can correct a lot of things: arrow length, peep height, a lot of things that we'd rather fix at one time instead of having them, bring their bow back 2 or 3 times to pay us to fix things. We just as soon do it in a one-stop thing.
Are there a lot of things that kind of just go out of whack the more you shoot your bow?
Yeah, generally the timing is the biggest thing. At least once a year. If you have a 2-cam bow or a really aggressive bow, at least once a year it needs to come in for a tune-up, if not twice a year, depending on how much you shoot it. The strings can only take so much. Those bows are under a lot, and anymore, a lot of guys want to get a lot of speed out of their bows. So they go a little bit lighter of an arrow, which just adds more stress to the bow, so it can go out of tune a little quicker. I guess the other thing would be your rest, because most of the rests are just on a little dovetail clamp. And so you would clamp them down and tighten them up, but over that pounding of the bow or the riding on the quad or the back of the truck going across the states, they'll tend to move, and it doesn't take anything to move very much for it to just kind of be out of tune. That's why, at least once a year, if you get that checked, then you're usually good for the season.
So if somebody, I guess this is a little bit of a different topic. Say somebody hasn't got a bow, or they're looking for a new bow. There's just so many different bows that you look at and buy. And so you kind of walk into a shop and you go, holy crap, there's a lot of bows here. What kind of things initially should that person be thinking about and considering to find a bow that's a good fit for them?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of good bows. I mean, anywhere from let's just say $400 to $1,600, and most of them will get the job done. It's going to be on the needs of the customer that comes in. One of the biggest things is if he has other friends or relatives that already shoot, they'll tend to shoot a little bit more. So guys like that are, they're probably better off going to at least a mid-range bow instead of getting an entry-level bow. It costs a little bit more, but in the long run, you're not buying twice, because you'll tend to, they tend to want to buy it again within a year, and then, it's just kind of wasting some money that way. But usually we talk to them and get a good idea where they're going to be at. That way, they can buy the right grade bow for them. And then from there, once we've decided that, then like you said, we have a lot of brands. They all shoot a little different for everybody. Some guys have shoulder problems. Some guys just, have a lot of strength. Some guys don't have a lot of strength. So we try to pick the bow that is going to suit their needs the best that they can, and give them a couple to go out and try. And then we just go from there.
What's the biggest difference between, I guess, a entry-level bow and then a mid-level bow and then a really high-performance bow? What's the difference between all those?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is just the materials and the engineering in the bows. They're all, like I said, they're all really good. You'll find some of them are going to have better strings than other ones. Guys want different things. They may want a peep sight that floats in there instead of one that has to be pulled straight with the rubber. Well, certain strings just aren't going to allow that. So, it's just little things like that. Just, they have to cut the corners where they can to make everything still safe and shoot well. But, the bottom line is you kind of pay for what you get. So, if you're spending a little bit more, doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend a ton of money. But there's some really good bows out there that are mid-range bows that are more in the upper end of it that would do anybody just as well as one of the upper end bows. So, like I said, there's a bow for almost any budget. And now we actually have in-house financing. So for a lot of the guys that need to, put it off for a couple of months, but they really need the bow, they can actually get it and just pay off their loan a little quicker instead of just making the regular payments on it. And then they can already be ready for the season. Things happen. People's bows get stolen, or they're waiting on their tax money, but they still have, they still need to get out there doing it. So, they've made a lot of changes in archery. It's come a long ways.
How many people have you had dry fire their bow 3 days before elk season besides me?
Well, that's going to be, we'll have them all the way up to the night before when they're leaving. Generally, they've left their bow out. Their hunting buddies are there. Their other buddies are there. They have their bow laying out, and one of their other buddies picks it up, shoots it for them, and then they're down at the shop hoping that it's still in one piece where they can use it, or else they have to get something new because they're going on their trip. And then we do a lot of setups that way where we can, fortunately, we have all the equipment at the shop that we can get a bow set up, get his arrows, and run a tape where he can go out and shoot 100 yards and the next morning. So, it works out pretty well. As long as they're a seasoned shooter, then they can get out there and shoot the next day and be comfortable.
Mm-hmm. You have a number of different people coming in shooting. I see you have a blind woman that comes in and shoots.
Yeah, that we do. She does mostly world FIDA type of stuff. And I know they just got back from Worlds last week, but she is a bronze, silver, and gold medal holder for Worlds. So she does really well.
That's kind of, she's got markings on the floor where to place her feet and a contact point for her hand, and it kind of gives her the references towards.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool stand that they make for them. It does gives them foot position on it so that they can keep their feet in the same position. They actually use basically like a tripod with a target sight on the top of the tripod so that they can adjust the sight, and they use the back of their hand or whatever point they're going to use, and when they go down to the aperture on it, then they know that they're in the right position to shoot. Then they have a spotter that helps them get on, and once they're on, then pretty much they just have at it.
So you have another young man with cerebral palsy, I think, in there. He was shooting when I was in there one time, and you got quite a different. There's a lot of people enjoying the sport of archery that are built a little different than you and me.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. We try to do what we can for everybody. Sometimes it can be a little difficult, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times for them to come in to get it kind of figured out the best way that they can do it. But it works out really well. The one gentleman, he'll come in and he shoots almost every Saturday. And then he started with a recurve, and then we got a little compound that we had in the back, set that up and had him try that. He likes that. He's tried the crossbow. He had to fire one of those. We get a lot, and we get a lot of girls in there. That's why we have Isaiah and Eileen both. Sometimes the girls feel a little more comfortable with Eileen. Sometimes we get some older guys. They feel a little more comfortable with Isaiah showing them how to do it. So, it all works out. We all kind of just work together as a team and just get it done for everybody.
Nice. Well, if people want to get a hold of you and find out more about you and hunt you down, what's the best ways to do that?
Well, we have a Facebook. We have an Instagram. Probably the easiest way is you can just get on our website at lodiarchery.com and our info's there, our hours, phone number, everything. And it's pretty easy. If we're not there, then we're usually there every day but Tuesday. Once in a while we take a weekend off to go do a shoot, but most of the time it's just holidays and Tuesdays that we're off, and just give us a call. If we're not there, just leave a message. We'll get back to you.
All righty. You got anything else, Ryer, for him? I think we've nailed.
Why Tuesday?
Well, mostly because I worked 2 jobs for 4 years, 7 days a week. So we finally had to pick a day, and we have too many people that come in on Sundays because they may work Monday through Saturday.
Sure. Right.
And so I remember whenever I had to work Monday through Saturday, the month before season, and I had everything not ready. I had nowhere to go get my stuff. So I figured I'd leave that open for them. And then Mondays were also really busy. So Tuesday, and that may change again too. We're getting so busy now that we may have to go back to 7 days a week.
Days,
and I can let the kids run it for a couple of days, and I'll take a couple of days off. So
isn't the Lodi Monday a thing?
Yeah,
isn't that a thing?
Yeah,
around Lodi.
Yeah, there's a lot of businesses that shut down on Monday in Lodi.
They do the Sunday Monday off thing.
Yeah, restaurants and hair places, and my favorite barbershop, Howard's Barbershop, not open on Mondays. I can't get a pedicure on Mondays.
Could you get a pedicure any day, Mark? Would anybody actually willingly do that?
Yeah, for money, not for free.
He pays double.
The nice ladies there. No, actually, when I was running my ultra marathons, I used to go in and get my toes professionally done. They would go in and buff all the calluses good and trim my toenails down tight and clean them out good and everything like that. And yeah, having fresh, good feet when you're running is pretty important, because you're banging your toes in your shoes all the time. And if you've got jagged nails and ingrown toenails at all, or calluses that are building up. Ironically, people think calluses, oh, that's good. You got calluses, keep your, means you're, keep your feet toughened up. And actually calluses are just a sign that your footwear has a rubbing spot and doesn't fit well. And from what I understand, most ultra marathon runners' feet are baby soft. They take good care of them and keep them cleaned up. So I always did that too. And some of the worst things can happen where if you do get calluses, you can still get blisters, but you get blister underneath the callus, and that becomes really painful and tough to deal with. So yes, Ryer, I have had many a pedicure. I used to go in now probably about every 6 weeks or so and get a.
Sounds luxurious. If only we could all live a life like that, Mark. Pedicures every 6 weeks.
In Lodi, you can't do it. You can't live it on Mondays like
Not
that.
on Monday.
Not on Mondays. Avenue Grill closed on Monday.
Are they?
Yeah, I think so. Dennis's Country Kitchen closed Monday.
Man, I guess you can't get a quality breakfast on Mondays.
Yeah, I know Avenue Grill's closed. But well, Don, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you, and hopefully people that don't know you're out there now know you're out there, and you're going to need 8 days a week now. People are going to be beating down your doors. The thousands upon thousands of people that hear this podcast now they're lining up outside your door right now. Penny's going to go, Don, I don't know what happened while you were gone, but holy cow, the people are just lined up out here.
Yeah, she'll probably might have to take one of her days back. I gave her off a week.
Anyways, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
And we thank you guys very much for listening. Anything else we wanted to touch on there, Rye?
Well, we've got some videos out, some new videos.
we have some videos. You can check them out on our web page or check them out on our YouTube page, and you can find some good stuff there. Keep watching, keep responding. And this year, gosh, I wanted to take more people up hunting on the ranch here this year, but gosh, it seemed like the hunting, I was hoping the hunting was going to be better this year, but all the rain we had, here we are in middle of June, and there's still green spots and wet spots and everything everywhere. And the pigs still come in and raid the fields, but they're not under any pressure to get there. So they come in the dark and they leave in the dark, and we kind of catch them transient. And we have caught them in the fields, but they've been tougher than I'd hoped for this year. So I wanted to get people up here, but we had a hard time getting our own kill on video, and so we got a couple people out, but just didn't work out like I was hoping to get people up this year, but maybe later this summer before fall. Anyways, thank you guys very much for listening, and hope to hear from you, see you around, wherever. Maybe see you at Lodi Archery. Thank you very much for listening. Mark Groupie Outdoors. Well fun.